Co-speaker Hasan Choudhry.
Stop there.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and my warmest greetings to everyone here. My name is Hasan Choudhry, and I'd like to echo my fellow speakers' thanks to Imperial College Student Union Philosophy Society for the invite, and also to my fellow speakers. Derek made it very clear that there was a difference between looking at a transcendental view and one of a reality inhibited by human beings, the way we think. But Muhammad Omar's talk was all about how human beings think. You remember the apple? You remember the discussion about reality? You remember the discussion about memory and judgment? None of that was transcendental. So the discussion that I would like to have is based upon the framework that Muhammad Omar set down, which is that we need to think rationally, not emotionally. And we need to use the very basis of thinking, which is how all of us come to conclusions. This is how we naturally think. We never, and I'd like to make this absolutely clear, we never operate deliberately ignoring what we have as our experience and our memory. Because if we did that, then we would fall into confusion. We would wonder, as an example, where we lived. Now, my memory tells me that I live in East London. But if I'd like to ignore that memory and just start a new one, maybe it's Buckingham Palace. Now, I'm not the Queen. But if I started to operate without using the experience, the information, the memory that I have, then I will start to become irrational. This is why we say that this is to be rational. My memory tells me that this is a cooling bottle of water kindly provided by Cassius. I could ignore this memory and think that this is a bomb. I could become irrational. I could. But I'd like us to emphasize, I'd like to emphasize how we need to stay with the rational and not the transcendental. So if we are going to use this thinking process, let me take us through tonight's question, which is about a rational proof for a creator. And it brings us to 2 points. The first point, if we are going to examine the reality, not the transcendental, if we are going to examine what we can sense using our 5 senses and not try to sense a creator, what is it that we can sense? Can we sense a creator? Can anyone sense God? Can you taste, smell, see, hear, feel? Can anyone sense a creator? So then, what are we left with? We're left with reality. And when you start to examine the reality before you, you come to a necessary conclusion. The reality that you can sense has inherent limitations. It has dependencies. It has something which makes it very clearly the opposite of unlimited and infinite. And just to make it absolutely clear, so we're on the same page, because I understand sometimes we can use a phrase like limit and finite and dependency and be confused. I would like to give a quick example, and if you've seen me debate before, you may have heard this example. And the example is of unlimited pizza. So imagine, we've ordered some unlimited pizza. Could anyone describe to me the characteristics of this unlimited pizza? I welcome anyone to give some thoughts. Don't be shy, please. I know you're Imperial, but don't be shy.
Cheesy.
Cheesy, yes. What is it that makes this thing unlimited?
It's limitless. It's no beginning, no end. It carries on.
No beginning, no end. Anything else?
All places.
It will be in all places.
It would be impossible to actually, if you weren't perhaps sort of divided, and there would be impossible to actually separate it and actually remove any of it without a law. It's like the infinite totality.
Okay, excellent. Some of the answers that I usually receive to this question is that it will have all flavors, it will never run out. But then these are my counter questions. If you had an unlimited pizza, would it fit inside this lecture theatre? Because remember, if you're saying it's unlimited, and you say it fits in this lecture theatre, then you've limited it. So would it fit in this lecture theatre?
No.
Would it fit on this planet?
No.
Would the sun still exist if there was an unlimited pizza? The reason I ask is because if the sun exists, it's blocking that pizza from occupying that space. And therefore, if there was an unlimited pizza, there'd be no sun. Could this pizza think? If you say it can't, then you've limited it. Can it sing? Can it dance? Think about it. Can it know what you're thinking? The whole point is, as soon as you say that there's something in this reality that is unlimited, you've destroyed everything. There is nothing in this reality that's actually unlimited. Everything is limited. The only things that you can say that are unlimited are things that we use as ideas or to make sense, what you might call a possible infinite. Mathematicians talk about numbers going up to infinity. But actual things going to infinity? No. And why is that important? I would like to make the point, and this is the contention of our side, that the limitations of this reality necessitate creation, and creation equals a creator. That's the contention of this side. And none of that is transcendental. And all of that is rational. So, let me make this point clear. Once you understand everything around you, this entire reality, this entire universe is limited. You have only a few options to go through. And we'll go through them quickly in a deduction. Your options, and I'm happy for anyone to offer suggestions later in the Q&A using rational thought, of course. The first, so what if there's limited things in this reality? The universe has existed forever. So there was no need for a beginning, no need for a creation, no need for a creator. That's your first option, unlimited time. The second is that limited things brought other limited things into existence. The third is that you have limited things that depend upon each other in an infinite cycle of dependency, a bit like a water cycle. And the last is that limited things did not bring themselves into existence. That time is not endless. There was a beginning. And your previous information, your memory, remember we're talking about being rational. Your experience tells you that something that had a beginning and did not bring itself into existence was caused. And that's the proof of a creator. So, let's go through those four options. First, endless time. Second, limited things brought themselves into existence. The third is that limited things all depend upon each other in some infinite web, and so they didn't need a creator. And the last one is, all these limited things had a beginning, didn't make themselves, they need creation. They need a creator. Could the universe have always existed? Could it have always existed up until now? Well, let me explain to you why that question makes no sense to me. Because if this is now, and the universe has always existed up until now, has existed for an endless amount of time up until now, for eternity, then we are now at the end of eternity. We are now at the end of infinity. We are now at the end of an endless series of events. Could the universe have always existed? The answer is no. So there's no endless time. Could limited things bring themselves into existence? Well, when I talk about limited things, I'm talking about having a limitation upon them that they cannot exceed. The very idea that they cannot exceed boundaries, start and end, they can be reduced or they can be destroyed. They depend upon things, they need things. Indicates that they cannot have made other things. The idea that there's some infinite web is simply a cop-out. It's returning back to the previous two and trying to hope that we won't remember, that we prove that there's no endless time and limited things don't bring themselves into existence. If there's an infinite web, what brought the first thing? And finally, in the few seconds I've got left, all that's left, limited things, had a beginning, didn't bring themselves into existence, they were created. Thank you.